Major scales, they're more important than you think. Today we've got a masterclass and play along for both alto and tenor to get us through level 1 of scale mastery. No cheat codes allowed. There's a landmark I highly encourage you to reach. If you feel like you're there already, I challenge you to do it better, myself included. And if you're a teacher, I think this is a great step for our students to strive for. What we've got are scales and all 12 keys, alto and tenor, and the play along. Let's take a listen to what we're doing and we'll talk about it. So what we've got here are full range scales, slurred, 2 notes per beat at 100 beats per minute. I call this the blue level tempo for my students. I think this is a great landmark to strive for newer players to get all 12 major scales learned in this sequence. And if you're a more advanced player, you may be thinking this is way too slow to gain any benefit. I assure you, you're wrong. Now, this is the first pit stop, the first landmark on the path to scale mastery. We're going to strive later on for 4 notes per beat, sounding more like this. But today we're going to aim for 100 beats per minute, 2 notes per beat. We've got all 12 in our Saxophone Fundamentals book. I'll put a link below. You can download it for free to follow along and start working on your path to scale mastery. Now, here are the critical keys to making this worth your while. We need to memorize these and always do them with the metronome. Now, memorizing all 12 major scales, some of you already have them memorized. Great, let's clean them up and use them as a tool for technical proficiency. Now, if you haven't learned all your major scales yet, let this be a challenge to start doing it. But here's how we do it, cumulatively. We learn C major, then we're gonna go around the circle of fourths, which is like the circle of fifths, but in reverse order. So we're gonna learn our C major scale, then our F major scale, and then our Make sure we can do our C and F before we move on. We keep adding on top of something that is already mastered before we add the new. It may take more time, but it's worth it. Now, you may be thinking, there's no way I can spend this much time on just major scales because there's so much to learn. I gotta learn my major scales and all my modes, and there's so many modes. And thinking that way is problematic for a number of reasons. So if we take a simple chord progression, very common, a 3, 6, 2, 5. You may be thinking each of these chords needs a different scale. You may be thinking something along the lines of Phrygian, Aeolian, Dorian, Mixolydian, Phrygian, Aeolian, Dorian, Mixolydian. You gotta learn 937 different scales and modes before you play jazz. Boop. But it turns out all the modes were coming from inside the scale. They were there all along. With some perspective, we learned that all those different modes are functioning within the major scale. All those chords are functioning within a major key. It's more simple than you think. And hey, if you like simplicity, give me a like to make your life more simple. Make mine more simple. I'd sure appreciate it. Boop. Let's talk about some common pitfalls to avoid when you're practicing your scales. Number 1, keep the rhythm solid. Subdivide in your head before you play. While the metronome's clicking, don't be thinking about sandwiches, then suddenly jump in. No, we want to subdivide in our head first, so as the metronome's clicking, we think 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and breathe, play. Got it? Remember that all's well that starts well. Don't fudge the first note. Make sure it has a clean attack. No, we want a good, clean start. It's difficult, but it's worth it. So what we might do is practicing efficiency of motion. First of all, make sure we are set. Our hands are set. Our posture set. Our embouchure set. Our teeth are resting on top of the mouthpiece. We breathe through the corners of our mouth and play on the beat, practice just starting the note several times with the metronome. It's more difficult than you think. Then once you have the first note in rhythm, just get the first 3 beats. 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3. Repeat that over and over just to make sure you get the first couple of beats of subdivision lined up with that starting on the low note. Next, remember that palm keys and the higher notes aren't hard. It doesn't take any more pressure to push the left-hand palm keys than the right side keys or any other key. They're not hard, they're simply unfamiliar. So let's familiarize ourselves with them by doing our scales not only full range, but going up to high F sharp. There's a whole lot of reasons why I recommend practicing scales with a high F sharp, playing professionally or teaching or classical music or etudes or concert bands, jazz band charts, whatever. But we need to be going up to at least high F sharp with our scales. Now, Tyler Anderson, our tenor teacher, actually has a high F sharp key on his tenor saxophone, which is a Herbert Cuff saxophone. If you've never heard of that, you're not alone. Now, most modern saxophones do have a high F sharp key. Matter of fact, most modern student saxophones do include a high F sharp key now. Now, I'm playing on a 1950 King Super 20, full pearls, don't you know? Mine doesn't have a high F sharp key, so I'm using the front F sharp fingering. It's a little bit more challenging, but worth the time and energy. It's also kind of the gateway into Altissimo. You'll impress your friends. You're not gonna impress your friends. Now let's talk fingerings. The Goonies taught us that it's very important to know the difference between A sharp and B flat, especially if you're playing a booby-trapped organ on One Eye Willie's pirate ship while you're trying to save your parents' houses from foreclosure. And there was a sloth guy or something. It's been a long time since I saw the movie. But A sharp and B flat, we're going to change the fingering. So when we're playing in flat keys, we're going to use our biz B flat, which is the B key with this little cute guy right here, the biz key. Biz B flat for the flat keys. For the sharp keys, we're not going to actually finger B flat. We're going to finger A sharp. They are enharmonic, same note, spelled different ways. We're going to play A with RSK, or right side key, number 1 in the sharp keys. And that'll be a great starting point for learning the fingerings. Some people use side F sharp key for the D flat major scale. That's great if you want to use it. Don't sweat it if you don't. Other than that, finger is normal. Now, we've got some play along exercises for alto and tenor. Take your time, play along with these again and again. You can also slow it down in the video. In the video player on YouTube, there's a gear icon for the settings, and you can slow it down. And it actually keeps the pitch, which is pretty cool. So you can play along on alto with me or tenor with our tenor instructor, Tyler Anderson. Slow these down. Remember, it's a long-term project. Aim for ease and security in the skills and learn them cumulatively. Don't worry about speed just yet. Speed is a byproduct of relaxation and precision. So have fun practicing your scales. It actually is pretty enjoyable. When Tyler and I got together and we recorded these, we kept doing more takes thinking like, I can play this better, I can play this cleaner, I can be more with the metronome. And afterwards, we kind of both really enjoyed just focusing on scales at a relaxed tempo. I think you will too. So have some fun with these. I will see you next week for more lessons. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, or whatever the part of the week is you're enjoying right now. Go practice.